Before we start, I need to know you're still with me. If you watched my last video about becoming a tribal police officer and learning about the protocols, drop a comment and let me know. Are you watching this alone, late at night, during the day? And if you're new here, welcome. Hit that subscribe button because what happened to me 8 months ago was just the beginning. What's happening now is so much worse. My name is Daniel Tsosi, and I've been a Navajo Nation police officer for almost a year now. I thought I'd seen everything. I thought I understood the dangers. I was wrong. The summer heat hit the res like a hammer. Temperatures pushing 105 degrees during the day, dropping to the 70s at night. The kind of weather that made people irritable, that brought out the worst in everyone. Domestic calls increased. Bar fights became more common. And something else started happening. Something new. It started with the missing livestock. Not unusual by itself. Coyotes, mountain lions, even the occasional bear would take sheep or goats. But these kills were different. The animals weren't eaten. They were arranged. Positioned in circles, their bodies forming patterns that hurt to look at. Symbols that seemed to shift when you weren't looking directly at them. I'd seen this before, back when Leonard at City's ceremony had gone wrong. But that door was closed. I'd closed it myself. So what was making these new patterns? Third one this week, Marcus said, photographing the scene. We were at the Nez family ranch, about 40 miles northeast of Red Mesa. 7 sheep, arranged in a perfect spiral, their throats cut with precision. This is getting worse. The patterns are different from before, I observed. These aren't summoning circles. They're more like messages. Messages saying what? I don't know. But Hasty and Nez needs to see this. While we waited for the medicine man, I walked the perimeter of the scene. The ground was hard-packed dirt, baked solid by the summer sun. But I found tracks anyway, barefoot prints, human-sized, leading away from the spiral toward the Badlands. Except the spacing was wrong, the stride too long. Like someone walking on tiptoes or something pretending to be human and getting the details slightly wrong. Daniel, look at this. Marcus was examining one of the sheep. This cut is too clean, too precise. Like it was done with a surgical scalpel, not a knife or claw. He was right. The wound was impossibly neat, the edges smooth. And there was something else. The blood had been collected, not spilled randomly. Someone or something had carefully drained each animal and taken the blood with them. Blood magic, a voice said behind us. We both jumped. Hasty and Nez had arrived silently, as he often did. Very old, very dangerous. Someone is building power. I thought we closed that door, I said. The Pale Watcher is banished. The ceremonies are finished. You closed one door, but there are many doors, Daniel. Many ways for old things to enter our world. He examined the spiral pattern, his weathered face grave. This is different from Leonard's work. This is older, from a tradition that predates the Navajo people. From the Anasazi, perhaps, or something even older. The Anasazi. The ancient ones who'd lived in the cliff dwellings, who'd vanished mysteriously centuries ago. We didn't speak their name often. It wasn't respectful. But Hasty and Nez was right. This felt ancient in a way that made Leonard's ceremony seem almost modern. What's the purpose? Marcus asked. Preparation. Whoever is doing this is preparing for something. Building power through blood sacrifice, creating patterns that open small cracks in the boundaries. Hasty and Nez turned to me. You'll need help, Daniel. What's coming is too large for one person, even one with your training. I have Marcus. You need more. You need someone fresh, someone who can see what you've become blind to, and you need to update the protocols. He pulled out a folded paper from his pocket. I've been having dreams. bad dreams. They showed me new rules, new dangers. These need to go on the wall at your station. I took the paper and read the 6 new protocols. Each one made my stomach tighten. Rule 7 is about the whispering woman, Hasty and Nez explained. She calls your name 3 times. Once to mark you, twice to track you, 3 times to claim you. If you answer after the 3rd call, you belong to her. Who is she? Something that was human once. A medicine woman who went too far, who learned things she shouldn't have. She died hundreds of years ago, but death didn't stop her. She exists now in the spaces between, and she's hungry. And the other rules, all connected to what's coming. The person doing these blood rituals is trying to call something through. Not the Pale Watcher, something else, something older, and they're getting close to succeeding. Back at the station, Captain Benally was waiting with a young woman in a crisp new uniform. The woman looked to be in her early 20s, with dark hair cut short and an expression that screamed big city attitude. "Sosie, Yazzie, this is Officer Rebecca Bluehorse. She's transferring from Phoenix PD, assigned to our district as of today." Captain Benally's tone suggested she wasn't entirely happy about this. "She'll be partnering with you two, learning how we operate out here." Rebecca stepped forward, hand extended. "Good to meet you. I've heard you guys have some unique approaches to law enforcement out here." "That's one way to put it," Marcus muttered. I shook her hand. "Welcome to Red Mesa. Hope you're ready for a different kind of policing." "I'm ready for anything. 5 years in Phoenix, seen it all. How different can the res be?" Marcus and I exchanged looks. How different? Where did we even start? "Captain, can I have a word?" I said, pulling Benally aside. "Is she briefed on the protocols?" I gave her the standard safety briefing. The rest she'll learn the same way you did, by experience. The captain's expression softened slightly. "I know it's not ideal, but tribal headquarters is pushing for more officers, and she's what we got. Make it work." That afternoon, I took Rebecca out on patrol, letting Marcus handle desk duty. I wanted to ease her into things, see how she handled the normal stuff before exposing her to the weird shit. "So, what's the deal with that list on the wall?" she asked as we drove through Red Mesa. "Those protocols about not pursuing people who run on 4 legs and all that. That some kind of hazing thing?" "Not hazing. Those are actual operational procedures." She laughed. "Come on. Nobody actually follows those, right? They're like old superstitions that never got updated." "Rebecca, I need you to listen carefully. Every rule on that list was written because an officer died or disappeared. They're not superstitions. They're survival instructions. Based on what? Traditional beliefs?" Her tone was skeptical, the kind of skepticism I'd had 8 months ago. "Look, I respect Navajo culture. I'm Navajo myself, but I'm also a cop. I deal in evidence, facts, procedures, not ghost stories." I pulled over at a scenic overlook, killed the engine. "What happened to your grandparents? Why did they leave the res? How did you—" "It's in your file. They left when your mother was young, moved to Phoenix. You grew up off-reservation, came back as an adult. Am I right?" "Yes, but they left because they saw something. Something that scared them so badly they abandoned their home, their community, their land. You should ask them about it sometime." I turned to face her. "Out here, the line between traditional beliefs and reality is thinner than you think. The things we warn about in those protocols, they exist, and they will kill you if you don't follow the rules." She wanted to argue. I could see it in her eyes. But something in my expression stopped her. Maybe she saw the scars from my own skepticism, the weight of what I'd learned. "Okay," she said slowly. "I'll follow the protocols. But if this turns out to be some elaborate prank, it won't. We continued the patrol. Traffic stops, wellness checks, a call about a loose dog. Normal police work that helped Rebecca relax. But as the sun started setting, painting the desert in shades of orange and red, I felt it. That familiar tension, the sense that something was watching. "We need to head back," I said, checking the time. "We don't patrol this sector after dark." "Why not?" "Because that's when they come out." "They?" Before I could answer, the radio crackled. Dispatch's voice urgent. "All units, we have a report of an abandoned vehicle on Highway 160, mile marker 38. Vehicle has all doors open, engine running. Requesting response." Rebecca reached for the radio. I grabbed her wrist. "Don't respond to that." "What? Why not?" "Rule 8, never investigate abandoned vehicles with all doors open." I keyed my own radio. "Unit 7 to dispatch. Do not respond to that call. Contact Hasty and Nez and Captain Benally immediately. This is a Code 47. Code 47. The designation we used for situations that violated protocols, that required traditional intervention. "I don't understand," Rebecca said. "Someone might need help." "It's a trap, classic lure. Something sets up an abandoned vehicle to draw in first responders. Then, I trailed off, not wanting to explain what happened to officers who fell for this particular trick. Then what? Then you're found 3 days later, miles from your patrol car with no memory of what happened. If you're found at all. Marcus's voice came over the radio. "Unit 5 responding to Unit 7's location. Hasty and Nez has been contacted. ETA 20 minutes. "Copy," I said. Then, to Rebecca, "You're about to get a crash course in why the protocols matter." We drove to mile marker 38, but stayed well back from the abandoned vehicle. It was a newer model Ford, all 4 doors and the trunk hanging open, engine running. In the fading light, I could see something in the driver's seat. A figure slumped forward. "Someone's in there," Rebecca said. "They might be injured." "No one's in there. It just looks like someone is." "How can you tell?" "Because the figure hasn't moved at all. Not even breathing motions. It's like a mannequin." I pulled out my binoculars and looked closer. And the proportions are wrong. Too tall, limbs too long. Rebecca grabbed the binoculars and looked for herself. I saw her face go pale. "What the fuck is that?" "That's why we have Rule 8. Marcus arrived first, parking beside us. He had rock salt shotgun shells loaded, one of Hasty and Nez's recommendations for situations like this. Not lethal to humans, but effective against other things. "How long has it been here?" Marcus asked. Dispatch said the call came in 15 minutes ago. But look at the dust on the hood. That vehicle's been here for hours, maybe days. So, who called it in? That was the question, wasn't it? Who had reported an abandoned vehicle that no human should have gotten close enough to see the details? Hasty and Nez arrived as the last light faded from the sky. He didn't approach the vehicle immediately. Instead, he circled it at a distance, sprinkling corn pollen, chanting in Navajo. The figure in the driver's seat started to move. Not human movement. It unfolded, limbs extending in ways that violated anatomy. The thing that emerged from the vehicle was roughly human-shaped, but wrong in every detail. Too tall, too thin, with joints that bent backward and a face that was more suggestion than features. Rebecca raised her weapon. "What the fuck is that?" "Don't shoot," I said quietly. "Bullets won't hurt it. They'll just make it angry." The thing turned to look at us, its not quite face tilting at an odd angle. Then it spoke, and the voice was terrible, like dozens of people speaking at once in different ages, different genders, all layered over each other. "Sosi, the one who closed the door, the one who thinks he's protected." It smiled, showing too many teeth. "She's been looking for you, the Whispering Woman. She says you broke something that belonged to her. I don't know any Whispering Woman." "No? But she knows you. Knows your brother's name. Knows your grandmother's name. Knows all the names of everyone you've ever loved." It took a step closer, and I heard Rebecca's breath catch. "She's coming, and when she arrives, all your protocols won't save you." Hastian Nez completed his circle and spoke a word in Old Navajo, a word I didn't recognize. The thing screamed, a sound that made the desert itself seem to recoil, and then it was gone. Not running away, just gone. The vehicle remained, empty now, all doors still open. "Get that car towed to impound," Hastian Nez said. "Don't let anyone near it until I can perform a cleansing. And Daniel, we need to talk, privately." Rebecca was shaking. "Someone needs to tell me what the fuck I just saw." "Later," Marcus said gently. "Right now, you need to process that what you saw was real, that the protocols aren't superstition, and that this job is nothing like Phoenix PD." Back at the station, Hastian Nez pulled me aside. His expression was more serious than I'd ever seen it. "The Whispering Woman is awake. I'd hoped she would stay dormant, but the blood rituals have stirred her, and she knows about you. Why does she care about me? Because you have power, real power, earned through sacrifice and choice. She's attracted to that. She wants to consume it, add it to her own." He pulled out a leather cord with a small medicine bundle attached. "Wear this always. It won't stop her, but it will make you harder to track." "How do I fight her?" "You can't, not directly. She's too strong, too old. But you can find out who's performing the blood rituals. They're calling her, giving her strength. Stop them, and she loses her anchor to this world." "How do I find them?" "Follow the blood, follow the patterns. They're building to something, a final ceremony. When you find the location of that ceremony, you'll find the person responsible." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the thing at the abandoned vehicle, about its layered voices, about the message it had delivered. The Whispering Woman was coming for me specifically. Around 2 a.m., I heard it for the first time. Daniel, my name, spoken by a woman's voice, soft, almost gentle, coming from outside my trailer. I sat up, remembering Rule 7. Never answer if someone calls your name 3 times from the darkness. That was once. Daniel, twice. The voice was closer now, right outside my window. I held my breath, gripping the medicine bundle Hastian Nez had given me. Don't answer. Don't acknowledge. Don't even look. Daniel. 3 times. The voice was inside now, in my trailer, whispered directly into my ear. I could feel cold breath on my neck. But I didn't answer. Didn't turn around. Just held the medicine bundle and recited the protection prayer Hastian Nez had taught me. After what felt like hours but was probably only minutes, the presence faded. The cold dissipated. I was alone again. But I knew the truth. The Whispering Woman had marked me, and she would keep trying until she found a way past my defenses. The next morning, I arrived at the station to find Captain Benally, Marcus, and Rebecca already there. They all looked as exhausted as I felt. "She visited all of you?" I asked. They nodded. "Fuck," Marcus said. "I heard my name 3 times, almost answered on the second one. Only stopped because I remembered the rule." "I answered," Rebecca said quietly. "On the second call. I didn't know about Rule 7. I thought it was dispatch trying to reach me on a different channel." We all stared at her. "What happened?" Captain Benally asked. "Nothing. I mean, I said yes, but then..." Nothing happened. The voice just stopped. She looked confused and frightened. Should something have happened? She answered after the second call, Nez said, entering the station. He must have been waiting outside. Not the third, that's why she's still here. But Rebecca, you're marked now. The whispering woman knows your voice, knows your answer. She'll come for you specifically. What do I do? You stick with Daniel and Marcus. Never patrol alone. Never go anywhere without protection. He handed her a medicine bundle similar to mine. And you learn quickly that the protocols aren't suggestions. Rebecca took the bundle with shaking hands. I'm sorry, I didn't believe. None of us believed at first, I said. But now you know. The question is, are you staying, or are you transferring back to Phoenix? She was quiet for a long moment, then straightened her shoulders. I'm staying. I made a mistake, but I won't make it again. And if this thing is targeting me, I want to be part of stopping it. Good, Captain Benally said. Because we just got another report. Livestock killings, same pattern. But this time, there's something else. A message written in blood on the ground. What does it say? Marcus asked. The captain showed us a photo on her phone. Written in sheep's blood, in letters 3 feet tall. 7 days. 7 days until what? Until the final ceremony? Until the whispering woman fully crossed over? Until something worse happened? We have 1 week, Nez said. 7 days to find who's doing the blood rituals and stop them. Or the whispering woman will have enough power to stay in this world permanently, and if that happens, he didn't need to finish. We all understood. If an entity that powerful established permanent presence on the res, no amount of protocols or medicine bundles would keep people safe. The hunt had begun, and we had 7 days to stop something that had been building for months. 7 days before everything I'd fought for, everything my brother had died for, became meaningless. 7 days before the protocol stopped working. Day 1 of 7. We started by mapping every livestock killing site, looking for patterns. Marcus had the idea to use drone footage, which revealed something we'd missed on the ground. The kill sites, when viewed from above, formed a larger pattern. A map. It's pointing toward Shiprock, Marcus said, tracing the lines on his computer screen. Every site forms a vector. They all converge on the Shiprock formation. Shiprock. Say Bita'i in Navajo, the rock with wings. A massive volcanic formation rising 2,500 feet from the desert floor, sacred to the Navajo people. A place of power, and according to traditional stories, a place where monsters once lived. Makes sense, Nez said, studying the map. Shiprock is a thin place. The boundary between worlds is weak there. If someone wanted to bring the Whispering Woman fully into our reality, that's where they'd do it. So, we have a location, Rebecca said. Now, we need to find who's doing this before they complete the ceremony. There's something else, I said, noticing a detail on the map. These kill sites aren't random. They're dated. The oldest one was 3 months ago, just after... I stopped, realization dawning. Just after we banished the Pale Watcher. You think they're connected? Marcus asked. No, I think whoever's doing this waited. They knew I'd closed one door, knew I'd be watching for similar activity. So they waited 3 months, let me get comfortable, and then started building power for a different entity. Someone who knows you, Captain Benally said. Someone who understands how you work, how you think. That narrowed it down. I hadn't been here long enough to make many enemies. Most people on the res were grateful for what I'd done, stopping Leonard Etzidy's ceremony, saving Jessica Begay. But gratitude also bred resentment. Some people had wanted that power for themselves. Curtis Gorman, I said suddenly. He's out of the treatment facility. Where is he now? Captain Benally pulled up her computer. Released 4 weeks ago. Currently living in Shiprock, working at a gas station. Checking in weekly with his probation officer. She looked at me. You think he's involved? He has the knowledge. Leonard taught him the ceremonies before the Pale Watcher took him. And he has a reason to hate me. I'm the one who stopped him, who testified at his hearing. Then we talked to Curtis. Today. We drove to Shiprock in 2 vehicles. Me and Rebecca in one. Marcus and Captain Benally in the other. Hastian Nez followed in his own truck, saying he wanted to assess the spiritual condition of the area. The gas station where Curtis worked was on the edge of town, a small operation that looked like it barely stayed in business. Curtis was behind the counter, looking thinner and older than I remembered. When he saw me walk in, his expression went through several emotions. Surprise, fear, anger, resignation. Officer Tsosi, should have known you'd show up eventually. Curtis, I need to ask you some questions. About what? The livestock killings, the blood rituals, the Whispering Woman. At the mention of the Whispering Woman, Curtis's face went white. I don't know anything about that. Really? Because someone with knowledge of Leonard's ceremonies is performing blood magic. Someone who knows how to open doors to the old places. That sounds like you. It's not me. Curtis's voice rose, and I saw genuine fear in his eyes. Jesus, Daniel, you think I'd go back to that? After what happened? After what I became? Then who? I don't know. But I felt it too. The Whispering Woman. She calls to me at night, tries to get me to answer. I know the rules now. Hastian Nez taught me during my treatment. I don't answer. He leaned forward. But there's someone else. Someone who came to see me 2 months ago, asking about Leonard's notes, about the ceremonies he'd written down. Who? A kid, 16, maybe 17. Tommy Manuelito. He said his grandfather knew Leonard, said he was interested in traditional medicine. I told him I didn't know anything, that all that stuff was destroyed. But he kept pushing, kept asking specific questions. Tommy Manuelito. I didn't recognize the name. Where can we find him? He lives out near the Manuelito Mesa with his grandmother. But Officer Tsosi, be careful, that kid. There was something off about him. Like he knew more than he should. Like he was testing me, seeing if I'd help him. Back in the parking lot, Captain Benally was already pulling up information on Tommy Manuelito. 16 years old, lived with his grandmother after his parents died in a car accident 3 years ago. Homeschooled. No prior police contact. On paper, he looked like a normal kid dealing with tragedy. His grandmother is Betty Manuelito, Captain Benally said. She's one of the old ones. Knows traditional ceremonies, speaks better Navajo than English. If her grandson is involved in blood magic, she'd know. Unless she's part of it, Marcus suggested. Betty Manuelito would never violate tradition like that, Hastian Nez said firmly. I've known her for 40 years, but her grandson, grief can twist a person, make them seek power they shouldn't have. We drove to the Manuelito residence, a traditional hogan surrounded by corrals and a small vegetable garden. Betty Manuelito was outside, weaving on a loom under a ramada. She looked up as we approached, her weathered face neutral. Ya te, I greeted her in Navajo. We're looking for Tommy. He's not here, she replied in Navajo, then switched to English. He goes walking in the desert, says it helps him think about his parents. How often does he go walking? Most nights. Sometimes he doesn't come back until morning. She set down her weaving. You think my grandson did something? We just need to talk to him about some questions he's been asking. Betty's expression darkened. He's been asking me questions too, about old ceremonies, about things that shouldn't be spoken of. I told him that path leads to darkness, but he doesn't listen. Young people never do. Do you know where he goes on these walks? Toward Shiprock. He likes to watch the formation at sunrise. She paused. But sometimes I hear him talking in his sleep. He speaks in Old Navajo, words I haven't heard since I was a child. Words my grandmother told me were forbidden. What kind of words? The kind used to call things from the spaces between, the kind that should have died with the old medicine people who knew better than to use them. She looked directly at me. My grandson is in danger. Not from you, but from what he's trying to do. Please, bring him back safely. We set up surveillance on the Manuelito residence, waiting for Tommy to return from his desert walks. It didn't take long. Around 8 p.m., we saw him approaching across the desert, carrying a backpack and walking with purpose. Tommy Manuelito was tall for 16, lean and athletic, but it was his eyes that caught my attention. They had that same look I'd seen in Leonard at City's photos, the look of someone who'd seen beyond the veil and been changed by it. Tommy Manuelito, I'm Officer Tasosi. I need to talk to you. He stopped, evaluating the situation. 3 officers, 1 medicine man blocking his path home. He could run, but where would he go? About what? About the questions you've been asking Curtis Gorman, about Leonard at City's ceremonies, about the blood rituals. I don't know what you're talking about. Really? Because 7 sheep were killed last night, arranged in a pattern, drained of blood. And that pattern points directly toward Shiprock, where you walk every night. Something flickered in his eyes. Not fear, but calculation. You can't prove I did anything. I don't need to prove it for a court. I need to stop it before the Whispering Woman crosses over completely. I stepped closer. Tommy, whatever you think you're doing, whatever power you think you'll gain, it's not worth it. I've seen what happens to people who open doors they can't close. Have you? He smiled, and it was wrong. Too knowing for a 16-year-old. Or have you just seen people who were weak? People who weren't prepared? You think you're prepared? You're 16. You don't understand what you're dealing with. I understand more than you do, officer. I understand that there are powers older than the Navajo people. Powers that were here before us and will be here after us. And I understand that those powers respect strength. He adjusted his backpack. The Whispering Woman doesn't want to destroy us. She wants to teach us, to show us how to use real power, not the watered-down ceremonies that medicine men like Hastien Nez practice. Tommy, no, Hastien Nez said, stepping forward. The old powers don't teach. They consume. They take and take until nothing remains. You're wrong. She's shown me things, given me knowledge. Tommy's voice took on that multi-layered quality I'd heard from Curtis when he was possessed. In 6 days, the ceremony will be complete. The Whispering Woman will cross over fully, and those of us who helped her will be rewarded. Those of us, Captain Benally said. You're not working alone? Tommy laughed. Did you think one 16-year-old could perform ceremonies this complex? Plan blood rituals this sophisticated? I had help from someone who knows the old ways, someone who's been waiting for a chance to use them. Before we could react, Tommy pulled something from his backpack, a small leather pouch. He threw it on the ground between us, and it exploded in a cloud of red dust. I couldn't see, couldn't breathe. The dust burned my eyes and throat. I heard shouting, movement, the sound of someone running. When the dust cleared, Tommy was gone, and so was Hastien Nez's truck. Fuck! Marcus coughed, wiping his eyes. What was that? Red ochre, mixed with something else, Hastien Nez said. examining the residue. A blinding powder, old trick but effective. He looked toward where his truck had been, and he took my supplies, my medicine bundles, my ceremonial items, everything I need to counter what he's doing. "Can you make new ones?" Rebecca asked. "Yes, but it will take time we don't have." We reported the truck stolen and returned to the station to regroup. Tommy was in the wind, warned that we were on to him. And he had help, someone with knowledge of the old ways, someone who had been planning this for months. "Who else has the knowledge?" I asked Hastian Nez. Who else could teach a teenager these ceremonies? Very few. Most of the old medicine people are gone. The ones who remain. He trailed off, a sick expression crossing his face. "No, it can't be." "What?" "There's one other person, someone I trained years ago, before I realized how far they'd strayed from the proper path. Someone I expelled from my teachings and warned never to practice ceremonies again." "Who?" "My daughter, Anna Ez." The room went silent. "You have a daughter?" Captain Benally finally said. "That's right, 15 years ago, when I found out he was using traditional knowledge for personal gain. I rejected him. He was charging money for ceremonies, promising results he couldn't deliver, mixing sacred practices with New Age nonsense." He sat down slowly. "He left the reservation, moved to Arizona. I thought it was over. But if he's back, he has knowledge to teach Tommy," I finished. "And a reason to seek revenge on you. Not revenge, power." Hastian Nez looked at me. Anna always wanted to be important, to be known as a great healer. I told her that power is gained through service and humility, not by chasing fame. But she never accepted that. "Where would she be?" Marcus asked. "I don't know. She hasn't contacted me in years." He pulled out his phone. "But I know someone who might." He made a call, speaking in rapid Navajo. After several minutes, he hung up and turned to us. "Anna was seen in Shiprock 2 months ago, staying in a rental house on the north side of town. My source says she's been meeting with young people, teaching them alternative traditional practices." "We need to find that house," Captain Benally said. "Now." It took us 3 hours and help from local informants, but we finally located the rental house. It was a small, nondescript building on a dead-end street. No vehicles outside, curtains drawn, no obvious signs of occupancy. We approached tactically, weapons drawn. The front door was unlocked. Inside, the house had been set up as a teaching space. Books on Navajo ceremonies lined the walls, some authentic, some written by white anthropologists who'd gotten everything wrong, some that I recognized from Leonard at City's collection. And on one wall, a map. The same map we'd created, showing the blood ritual sites converging on Shiprock. But this one had additional marks. 6 more sites, numbered and dated. The final one was marked for 6 days from now, at the base of Shiprock itself. "They've been planning this for months," Marcus said, photographing everything. Every detail mapped out. I found a laptop on a desk still open. The screen showed a document titled The Crossing Ceremony. It was a complete guide to calling the Whispering Woman across the boundary and binding her to this world. "Hastian Nez, you need to see this." He read the document, his face growing darker with each page. "This is sophisticated. More sophisticated than Leonard's work. Anna has combined traditional knowledge with research from multiple sources. If she completes this ceremony, what happens? The Whispering Woman gains permanent physical form. She becomes essentially immortal, able to move freely in our world. And worse, the ceremony creates a permanent gateway. Other entities could follow her through. How do we stop it? We need to disrupt the ceremony before it's complete." That means stopping the blood rituals, all 6 remaining ones. If even one is completed, the ceremony continues. We have 6 sites and 6 days, Captain Benally said. We can stake out each location, catch them in the act. It's not that simple, Hasty and Nez said. Look at the dates. 3 sites will be hit tonight, all at the same time. We don't have enough officers to cover 3 locations simultaneously. He was right. Our entire department was maybe a dozen officers, and most of them hadn't been briefed on the supernatural aspects of what we dealt with. We couldn't exactly put out an APB for blood magic practitioners. Then we prioritize, I said. Which site is most important? Which one would hurt the ceremony most if we stopped it? Hasty and Nez studied the map. This one, the 3rd site, near the old trading post. It's a power point, a place where traditional ceremonies have been performed for generations. If they complete a blood ritual there, it will be 10 times stronger than the others. Then that's where we go, the 3 of us. I looked at Marcus and Rebecca. Everyone else covers the other 2 sites as best we can. Maybe we get lucky. That night, we set up surveillance near the old trading post. It had been abandoned for years, the building collapsing in on itself, but the location still held power. I could feel it, a thrumming in the earth, a sense of significance. Around midnight, they arrived. Tommy Manuelito and a woman I assumed was Anna Nez. She was maybe 50, with long gray hair and traditional clothing. She moved with confidence, carrying a bag that I knew contained ritual items. They brought something else, a sheep, alive and struggling in Tommy's grip. "We have to stop this," Rebecca whispered, "before they kill it." "Not yet," I said. "We need to see the ceremony, understand how it works, then we can counter it." We watched as Anna drew a circle in the dirt, marking it with symbols that glowed faintly in the moonlight. Tommy held the sheep while Anna chanted in Old Navajo, words that made my medicine bundle grow warm against my chest. Then Anna pulled out a knife, a ceremonial blade, silver and turquoise, designed for ritual sacrifice. "Now," I said, and we moved. "Stop, police!" I shouted, weapon drawn. Anna looked up, unsurprised, like she'd been expecting us. "Officer Sosi, right on time." Tommy released the sheep, which bolted into the darkness. Good. At least we'd saved that life. "Anna Nez, you're under arrest for animal cruelty, trespassing, and practicing dangerous ceremonies." She laughed. "Arrest me? On what charge? That will hold up in tribal court. Traditional ceremonies aren't illegal, officer. Blood magic is. That's not a legal term, and you have no evidence. This circle, it will wash away with the first rain. The knife? Ceremonial art, perfectly legal to own." She smiled. "You can't stop this, Daniel. Even if you arrest us tonight, the ceremony continues. Others will complete the rituals. The Whispering Woman will cross over." "Others?" Marcus said. "How many people are involved in this?" "Enough. Young people, mostly. People like Tommy who've lost family, who feel powerless, who want something to believe in. I'm giving them that. Purpose. Power. A connection to something greater than themselves. You're sacrificing them," Hasty and Nez said, emerging from the shadows. "You know that, don't you, Anna? The Whispering Woman doesn't give power. She takes it. Everyone you've recruited will be consumed when she crosses over." Anna's expression hardened. "Father, I should have known you'd be here defending your precious traditions, your limited understanding of what's possible. I understand enough to know you're making a terrible mistake." "No, you made the mistake. You expelled me, embarrassed me, told everyone I was unworthy. But I learned things you never taught me, powerful things. And now, I'm going to show you what I've become." She began chanting again. But this time it wasn't the ritual we'd interrupted. This was something else, a calling. And from the darkness surrounding us, I heard voices answering. Young voices, old voices, all chanting in unison. We weren't alone. Anna's followers surrounded us. At least 20 of them, all wearing traditional clothing, all chanting the same words. And in that moment, I realized we'd walked into a trap. We were surrounded. 20 people, maybe more, forming a circle around us in the darkness. Some were teenagers like Tommy. Others were older, in their 20s and 30s. All of them had that same look in their eyes, the fervent belief of people who'd found something to worship. "Lower your weapons," Anna said calmly. "You're outnumbered, and killing any of my followers would violate your precious protocols about using force against people engaged in traditional practices." She was right. Tribal law had protections for traditional ceremonies. We couldn't just start shooting people for chanting and wearing ceremonial clothing. "This isn't a traditional ceremony," I said. "You're calling something dangerous, something that will kill people." "No, I'm calling something powerful. There's a difference." Anna gestured at her followers. "These people understand. They've felt the Whispering Woman's touch. She's shown them visions, given them knowledge. In 6 days, when she crosses over completely, they'll be her chosen ones, protected, elevated. They'll be her first victims," Hastian Nez said. "Anna, I know you're angry with me. I know you feel wronged, but this isn't the answer. The Whispering Woman is using you. She's whispering what you want to hear, showing you what you want to see. It's all manipulation. You're the one who was manipulated, Father, by your precious traditions, by your limited understanding." Anna's voice rose. "I've gone beyond the old ways. I've combined Navajo practices with techniques from the Anasazi, from the tribes that came before us. I've created something new, something stronger." The chanting grew louder, and I felt the air change. Something was responding to their call. The temperature dropped, and I could see my breath misting in the summer night. "Rebecca, Marcus, back to back," I said quietly. "If this goes bad, we run for the vehicles." But before we could move, the chanting stopped. Every person went silent at once, their eyes fixed on something behind us. I turned and saw her, the Whispering Woman. She was beautiful and terrible, appearing as a Navajo woman in traditional dress, but wrong in subtle ways. Her skin was too pale, almost luminescent. Her hair moved without wind, and her eyes were empty, reflecting nothing, absorbing all light. "Daniel Tsosi," she said, and her voice was like silk and razors. "The one who closed the door, the one who thinks himself so powerful. I don't want power. I just want to protect my people. Noble, but futile." She glided forward. I couldn't see her feet moving. She just approached, defying physics. "Your people need protection from their own weakness, from their poverty, their suffering, their despair. I offer them something better. Purpose, power, a place in the new order. By consuming them, by elevating them, the weak will fall away, yes, but the strong will rise. Isn't that how nature works?" She tilted her head. "You should understand this, Daniel. You've risen through sacrifice. Your brother's death gave you purpose. Your own suffering made you strong. Don't talk about Thomas." "Why not? He's here, you know, in the spaces between. I could bring him back, give you one more chance to say goodbye, to apologize for not saving him." Her smile was cruel. "All you have to do is ask. 3 times, like the rule says. Ask me 3 times to see your brother, and I'll grant your wish." It was tempting, God, it was tempting. To see Thomas again, to tell him I understood now, to make things right. But I remembered Rule 7. Never answer if someone calls your name 3 times. The corollary was obvious. Never ask something 3 times either. 3 was the binding number. 3 was when deals were sealed. "No," I said. "Thomas is at peace. You don't have him." "Are you sure?" She gestured, and for a moment I saw him. Thomas standing at the edge of the circle, wearing his uniform, looking exactly as he had the last time I'd seen him alive. "Big brother," he said with Thomas's voice, "why didn't you come home sooner? Why didn't you save me?" Tears stung my eyes, but I forced them back. "You're not Thomas, you're a lie." The vision of my brother smiled, and it became the whispering woman's cruel expression. Perhaps, but lies can feel so much better than truth, can't they? Hastian Nez stepped forward, placing himself between me and the entity. "Your games are old, whispering woman. We know your tricks. The boy won't fall for them." "Won't he? He's already fallen for so much. He thinks he's a protector, but he's just a weapon I'll eventually wield." She turned her empty eyes to Anna. "Continue the ceremony. The 3rd site must be completed." Anna nodded and resumed her chanting. The followers joined in, their voices rising in that dissonant harmony, and in the center of the circle, the symbols Anna had drawn began to glow brighter. "We have to break the circle," Marcus said. "Stop the ceremony. If we attack them, we'll be violating tribal law," Captain Benally said through the radio. We'd kept the channel open so she could hear everything. "I can't authorize that." "Then what do we do?" Rebecca asked. I looked at the glowing symbols, at the followers chanting, at Anna conducting it all like an orchestra. Then I remembered something Hastian Nez had taught me. The best way to stop a ceremony isn't to attack it directly. It's to complete a different ceremony, one that contradicts it. "Hastian Nez, can you perform a protection ceremony? Something that would block what they're doing?" "Yes, but I'd need my supplies. Tommy took them, remember? You said you could make new ones. What do you need?" He thought quickly. "Corn pollen, turquoise, white shell, and jet, the 4 sacred stones." I had those, in the medicine bundle he'd given me. "Will this work?" I held up the bundle. "It's not ideal, but," he nodded. "Yes, with the right words, we can create a counter-ceremony. But Daniel, it will require you to lead it. You have the power, the authority from closing the Pale Watcher's door. The Whispering Woman will recognize your strength. Tell me what to do." Hastian Nez pulled me aside and quickly taught me the chant. It was similar to protection prayers I'd learned, but more focused, more aggressive. Not asking for protection, but demanding it. Claiming the space, asserting boundaries. "Ready?" he asked. "No, but let's do it anyway." I stepped forward, into the space between Anna's circle and the Whispering Woman. I opened the medicine bundle and let the contents fall into my hand. Then I began to chant. The Navajo words felt powerful on my tongue, resonating with something deep inside me. As I chanted, I walked in a counter-circle, moving against the direction of Anna's ceremony. Where her followers moved clockwise, I moved counterclockwise. Where they called things toward them, I pushed things away. "What are you doing?" Anna's voice cut through her chant. "Stop him!" But her followers hesitated. Some of them were watching me with uncertainty, perhaps recognizing the authority in my words, the proper structure of the ceremony I was performing. The Whispering Woman hissed, "Clever boy, using proper ceremony against corrupted practice. But you're outnumbered. 1 voice against 20. He's not alone," Marcus said. He stepped forward and joined my counter-circle, following my movements even though he didn't know the words. "Neither am I," Rebecca said, taking her place beside Marcus. And then, to my surprise, some of Anna's followers broke away. First 1, then 3, then 7. Young people who'd been drawn in by promises of power but recognized truth when they saw it. They joined our counter circle, and even though they didn't know the chant, their presence added strength. "Fools," Anna shrieked. "You're giving up power for servitude." "They're choosing protection over consumption," Hasty and Nez said. He joined the circle too, his voice joining mine in the chant. "They're choosing life." Our counter circle grew stronger. The symbols Anna had drawn began to fade, overpowered by the protection ceremony we were weaving. The whispering woman's form flickered, becoming less solid. "This changes nothing," she screamed. "The ceremony continues. Other sites are being completed as we speak. You can't stop them all." She was right. We'd stopped this one ritual. But according to the map, 2 others were happening simultaneously tonight, and we had no way to reach them in time. Then my radio crackled. Captain Benally's voice. "Daniel, we got lucky." Units at the other 2 sites found the ritual practitioners, arrested them for animal cruelty before they could complete the ceremonies. "All of them?" I asked while continuing to chant. "All of them. We've shut down tonight's rituals completely." Anna's face went white with rage. "No, you can't. The ceremony requires specific timing, specific dates. If tonight's rituals aren't completed, we'll have to wait another lunar cycle." "Then you'll wait," I said, finishing the protection chant. "And we'll stop you next month too, and the month after that, for as long as it takes." The whispering woman let out a sound of pure frustration. Her form was fading rapidly now, losing cohesion. "This isn't over, Daniel Tosi. I will cross over, and when I do, you'll be the first one I claim." Then she was gone, pulled back into whatever space she existed in. The temperature normalized. The oppressive presence that had filled the air dissipated. Anna stood in the center of her broken circle, tears streaming down her face. "You've ruined everything. Everything I worked for." "No," Astian Nez said gently. "You ruined yourself when you chose power over wisdom, when you chose revenge over healing." "I hate you," she spat at him. "I hate that you were right, that your limited, traditional ways are somehow stronger than everything I learned. They're not stronger because they're traditional. They're stronger because they're based on balance, on respect, on working with the natural order instead of against it." He approached his daughter slowly. "Anna, it's not too late. You can still turn back from this path." "Yes, it is." She pulled something from her pocket. For a moment, I thought it was a weapon, and my hand went to my service pistol, but it was just a small leather pouch. "I'm in too deep, Father. I've made promises I can't break, open doors I can't close." She opened the pouch and threw the contents on the ground. The same red, blinding powder Tommy had used. By the time our vision cleared, Anna was gone, melted into the darkness. "Should we pursue?" Marcus asked. "No," I said. "Let her go. We stopped the ceremony. That's what matters." We arrested 13 of Anna's followers that night, mostly on charges of animal cruelty and trespassing. Tommy Manuelito was among them. As we loaded him into a patrol car, his grandmother Betty arrived. "I'm sorry," Tommy said to her. "I thought I could bring them back. Mom and Dad. The whispering woman said if I helped her cross over, she could return the dead to life." "Oh, child," Betty said, tears in her eyes. "The dead can't come back. That's not how it works. Your parents are at peace. You need to let them rest." "I just miss them so much." "I know. I miss them too." She looked at me. "What will happen to him?" that's up to the tribal court. But given his age and the circumstances, probably counseling and community service rather than jail time. I paused. He was manipulated by someone who should have known better. Over the next few days, we worked to locate the remaining ritual sites from Anna's map and place them under surveillance. We also put out bulletins to other tribal police departments, warning them about the blood magic ceremonies and the Whispering Woman, but Anna remained in the wind. Despite extensive searches, we found no trace of her. It was like she'd vanished completely. "She's gone underground," Hastien Nez said. "She knows we're watching. She'll wait, regroup, and try again when we're not expecting it." "So this isn't over?" "It's never over, Daniel. That's what you need to understand. We didn't defeat the Whispering Woman. We just delayed her. She's patient. She can wait years, decades, for the right opportunity. Then we stay vigilant." "Yes, and we train others." Rebecca has learned quickly. She understands now that the protocols aren't superstition. We need more officers like her, more people who can walk between the traditional world and modern law enforcement. He was right. Rebecca had transformed over the past week. The skeptic from Phoenix had become a true believer, someone who understood the deeper dangers we faced. On the 6th day, what would have been the final ceremony day, we received a package at the station. No return address, just a box wrapped in red cloth. Inside was Hastien Nez's stolen truck keys and ceremonial items. Everything Tommy had taken, returned. And a note written in elegant handwriting. "You won this round, but there are other ways to call her through. Other ceremonies. Other practitioners. The Whispering Woman is patient, and she never forgets. Neither do I. Anna." "She's threatening us," Marcus said. "She's promising us," I corrected. "This isn't over. She'll be back." That night, as I lay in my trailer trying to sleep, I heard it again. My name, called from the darkness. Daniel. Once. Just once. Not the 3 times that would have bound me. Just a reminder that the Whispering Woman was still out there, still watching, still waiting. I didn't answer, just gripped my medicine bundle and recited the protection prayer. Eventually, the presence faded, and I slept fitfully, dreaming of blood circles and empty eyes. The next morning, Captain Benally called a station meeting. All officers present, including the ones who'd been brought in from other districts to help with the surveillance and arrests. "What we dealt with this week," she began, "was beyond normal police work. I know some of you have questions, some of you are skeptical, and some of you are probably traumatized." A few nervous laughs from the assembled officers. "But here's what you need to understand. This is our reality. On the res, we don't just deal with human criminals. We deal with things that shouldn't exist according to modern understanding, things our ancestors knew about, feared, and developed protocols to handle." She gestured at the framed protocols on the wall. "These rules aren't superstition. They're not traditional beliefs that need to be respected for cultural reasons. They're practical survival instructions based on generations of experience.